Hello guys and gals, me Budahar, ladies and gentlemen. Call of Duty is something that I threw out to the curb a long time ago. Call of Duty was that one person sitting on my hard drive that sometimes it gave me the good suck, you know what I mean? Sometimes I laid back in my chair and I was getting woohoo! But now I'm not getting the good suck anymore because you want to know why? Call of Duty Modern Warfare is bloated as all hell. 250 gigabytes to over 200 gigabytes and 250 reaching around there. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't need to reach around like that on my system. I don't need a quarter of my SSD to just be Call of Duty, okay? I'm very happy without Call of Duty. In fact, I recently got back into Siege more and more, and I'm fine playing a game that's, what, a quarter of the file size that is Call of Duty. Now, Call of Duty, because it was so bloated, recently allowed players to delete all of the campaign data, all the spec ops, all of it, and shave down the obviously bloated file size. But I decided to take this video to kind of educate you all a little bit and teach you all about file sizes and your favorite video games. Now, games like Minecraft have the ability to render the entire world if we wanted to. All right, they're games that offer us to go any in which direction for an infinite amount of time. There's players out there who have mapped out their entire Minecraft journey from beginning to end, you know, day on day, just constantly going nomadically, and they've made it a far way through. Minecraft is one of those games that gets away with this because the world is procedurally generated, meaning all the game does is pretty much renders where a mountain should be, where a plane should be, where certain blocks should be rendered. This itself doesn't take up that much space because all Minecraft does is create a sort of array of like where things should be placed and then puts the corresponding texture on top of that block. And that's why the more you play Minecraft, the higher your file sizes tend to become, because it really doesn't generate the whole world. It just generates what you've seen. Now, games like No Man's Sky, all of it do the same, right? And this is how they get away with having big open worlds with like minimal file sizes. Now, games like Call of Duty are unique. In fact, let's go around, okay? Let's just include the whole gamut. Games like Red Dead Redemption 2 ship on 2 discs and are over 100 gigs because they are handcrafted worlds with handcrafted textures. Each tree is different. Each plane is different. Each flower is, well, you know, they have multiple species of those flowers. But the world is handcrafted and each texture is crafted by an actual artist. These textures are very large in file size. And when you start putting a bunch of them into your game, you're going to start consuming a lot more file size going forward. Games like Final Fantasy VII are linear games, but because they have so many locations and so many unique textures per location, and again, because it's a game that's outfitted for somewhat 4K, then those textures are going to be relatively large in file size. Games like Last of Us 2 also ship on 2 discs because there's multiple locations with very, very heavy file sizes for those textures. Call of Duty is one of those games which promotes massive realistic graphics, and of course it does. Modern Warfare is a very pretty looking game, but the price you babies pay for is hard drive space, that's for fucking sure. Now, The Verge posted something where they took Call of Duty's PC specifications. This is from their site, by the way. Again, I'm not putting a foot in my mouth. And this is their original specifications, okay, for Call of Duty. At the minimum specs to play Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, you needed 50 gigs just for multiplayer, okay? And you could get 175 gigs for all the game modes. This includes campaign, zombies, whatever the fuck else they had. Now, on their Ultra RTX version, which I'm going to remind people, ray tracing doesn't actually add any massive hard drive benefits. It's mostly textures. Ray tracing is just data that's being calculated. So let's get that misconception out of the fucking way. 250 gigabytes of hard drive space at fucking launch for 4K resolution? What are you, fucking rendering all of Russia? Is Reagan telling me to bring fucking democracy all over the globe? Is that what we're doing? All right, okay, we got it. And they also recommended the RTX like 3080. Pretty fucking heavy card right there, but okay, thank you very much, COD. They then later readjusted this on their own fucking website to 125 gigabytes of hard drive space, and it does include the optional high-definition asset pack. Now, you might be wondering, oh, fuck, Mudo, what convinced Activision to shave off, what, half of the fucking bloat off of their game? Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a bunch of other things that have been popping up. For instance, gaming leaks and rumors. I don't treat this completely seriously, but they showed the back of the box. I don't know why the fuck we have to zoom in this far into the box. I'm sure everyone could. I would have loved to see the whole box, but they showed that the PlayStation 5 version has 285 gigs minimum. To put into perspective, that's like 40% of the fucking usable space, if the PS5 leaks are true, just on Call of Duty. Now, there's been a lot of people who are assuming that this is because Call of Duty has this weird, like, fucking Illuminati method of just installing their game and making it so nothing else can install, so they can actually just be the only game you play. Now, I'm gonna say this for the record, okay? Call of Duty is one of those games that is very fucking bloated. But this is what takes me into the next step of the education principle right here, is that we have two different types of storage spaces to deal with, right? Let's get down to it. We have hard drive space, HDD, which is what most PS4 and Xbox One gamers and some PC people are at. Then we have SSDs, which is what a lot of high-end PC gamers have been playing on for several years now, and it's what's standard with the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. Now, with hard disk drives, they're inherently slower than SSDs. That's a fact. The only way you can slightly even come close is if you start practicing something called data redundancy. Now, if you don't know about it, hard disk drives work in a way where it constantly spins around and seeks for data, right? So as the program is seeking around spinning for data, it's better to put that same texture, one big texture in this part of the drive, 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 this part of the drive. So as you're spinning around, the data can be queried and immediately grabbed from any of these sectors. You don't have to do a full rotation. You know, this is very layman's, but you don't have to do a full rotation to get pieces of data. Now with SSDs, it's inherently different because you can just grab and, you know, put pieces of data anywhere you want. It's very, very quick, very accessible, which is why you don't have to practice data redundancy. So let's say if your game's 250 gigs, if you took out the redundancy, that might be what shaves the game down to 175 gigabytes. Now there's a million more factors over here, okay? You can practice good compression, you can practice not letting your game get fucking bloated, but it's kind of an inherent reality going forward that I think it's easy to blame Call of Duty, and I think it's easy to blame any video game, but it's kind of par for the fucking course. Let me just come over here. When we were starting off in video gaming with Pong, we didn't really have a lot of texture memory to keep safe, if any. But as soon as we started moving towards, I would say, the era of PlayStation 2, where games became more open, games became longer, games had actual texture data put into it. When you had games like Grand Theft Auto Vice City, when you had games like Driver Parallel Lines or whatever was on the PS2, Final Fantasy X to be exact, that's when file sizes really start to, you know, become larger. You know, file sizes started to reach into the gigabytes. And then when you got the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, the file sizes kept ballooning. But of course, they had to stay within reason because you can have all the high-res textures you want. It's really up to your console if it supports loading in those textures, as known as texture memory, right? The PS3 and the Xbox 360 was under a gig of texture memory loading. We're talking 512 megabytes, 256 megabytes back then. So you had to be very, very optimistic with how you budgeted it around. Now, PS4, Xbox One, it has what, 8 gigs? Well, less than 8 gigs. You know, there's a split between the OS and the actual, like, you know, graphic memory. But you can see how, like, the actual budget increases dramatically. And now with PS5 and Xbox Series X, you're looking at what, like 16 gigs or something of, like, actual memory, not to work with, but you get, like, a massive ballooned increase. Yes, you're going to reach a point where file sizes get that much fucking bigger. It's how things work. It's how this industry, it's how graphics work in that case. And if you want pretty looking graphics, if you want that beautiful looking texture alongside, you know, your ray tracing and everything to work, you're gonna need to start conceding and giving more and more of your file sizes. Towards the end of this generation alone, we started seeing games ship on 2 discs because they don't have enough file size to go around. Cyberpunk 2077, when you finally get your hands on it in December, will ship on 2 discs because that game is, what, 85 gigs in size? It's par for the course. It's how these things work, ladies and gentlemen. And it's how, going forward, you're going to notice these file sizes balloon up because, hey, game worlds got bigger, game worlds got more detailed, and so has the requirement on your hard disk drive, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. But that's sort of one of the things that I wanted to talk about. Now, Call of Duty, again, I'm going to say Call of Duty is a very bloated game entirely, and I'm sure when people are done with the campaign, they're going to delete the fuck out of it, so they can only leave this as a 35 gigabyte footprint on their system. But it's kind of crazy, just starting out in this generation alone, all right, before the consoles have even come out, we've reached games that are basically asking for nearly 300 gigabyte sizes. So it kind of fucking scares me when games like GTA 6 get announced and how they're going to fucking balloon up and use maybe even half a terabyte of space on a drive. I have no idea how that's going to work, ladies and gentlemen. But as you can see, these big AAA games are getting fucking huge. And because of Call of Duty alone, I'm kind of interested in seeing how other open world games like Assassin's Creed and whatever reflect on these systems going forward. It's going to be an interesting ride, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be an interesting little fucking mix. But that being said, though, I kind of wanted to spend today just sort of teaching and sort of running you through the gamut on how this file size stuff works. So ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's educational exercise, let me know. If you didn't, let me also know. This is me, Mutahar, and I'm out.